everyone. How are you doing? A new face, you're thinking? Well, that would be me, Ahalya, here to keep you company on a brand new edition of Cummins PowerPods. And I'm very happy to be joining you on the show today because, it's a very special one. As we all know, the 8th of March is annually celebrated as International Women's Day. 2023 saw the theme of hashtag Embrace Equity coming up, and people all around the world were very happy about it because equity, in its essence, is a very nuanced topic. And that got us to thinking how equity is actually perceived within our organization. Now, at Cummins, we celebrate equity every single day. DE and I continues to be a very strong focus area, and it's really important that we all talk about the transformation that Cummins India has experienced in terms of driving the need of equitable workplaces for a sustainable future, right? That's what we're diving into today, but a more personalized view of it all through the wonderful eyes of Anupama Kaul, HR leader, Cummins India, and Subramanian Chidambaran, strategy leader, Cummins India. Welcome to the show, both of you. How are you doing?
Great, feeling very excited to be a part of this talk.
Absolutely the same, Ahalya. Feeling great.
Fantastic. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I'm going to rope you into the conversation first, Anupama, because, your perspective as a woman leader is going to be invaluable in this conversation. So to start us off, what does equity really mean to you?
Let me begin by saying personally, for me, being called out as a woman leader does not sound equitable. I am a leader, and the moment you call me as a woman leader, you're assuming some of the positives or the gaps that I bring in. Mm-hmm. I am a unique individual and bring in my own strengths and maybe areas that I need to work on as a leader rather than just a woman leader. So being stereotyped does not sound equitable to me.
Okay.
Having said that, at a larger view, the bitter truth is that there are societal norms that have not always been equitable, which means that we as leaders need to work towards creating an environment through our processes and policies, all that is under our influence, to give the equitable opportunities to people that we know or the organization that we work in.
Right. Okay, perfect. I think you've set us off on a very strong start and some food for thought through the entire conversation. Subramanian, to bring you into the conversation now, I'd also love to ask you the same question. What does equity really mean to you as an ally of, the DEI priority, diversity, equity, inclusion priority, and how do you perceive equity both at work and at home?
Thanks a lot, Ahalya, for the question. So the starting point of this whole thing is diversity, right? And I believe that diversity is a critical aspect of bringing in diverse opinions, diverse ideas, diverse views on the table. And as most of the organizations, including ours, are venturing into newer areas of growth, are becoming some different organizations of the future, diversity becomes extremely critical. Right? Now, that being the starting point, comes the next point that you're bringing in the diverse people, but are you giving them the equal opportunities to really grow, be motivated in this growth journey of yours that you've brought them in for? Are they motivated enough to continue this career path? And doing this, understanding what is needed for them. So this is where I think the difference between the equity and equality aspect comes. Like equality is about giving them those opportunities, but equity is about really putting your mind behind it to say that, everyone is not the same. Two people are not the same, right? So there are different needs of different people. How do you still account for those when you still give them equal opportunities? So that requires you to go an extra mile. So if I take it at home, if it be my wife or my mother, who is taking care of the domestic chores and everything, if they have to do something that I have to do, for me, it's probably that I don't have to do all those activities. Hence, for me, I have that bandwidth, I have the time, I have the liberty to do those. If I have to give the same opportunity to my mother or my wife, I need to be cognizant that they, in their mind, have multiple things to complete before they can get to this. So my whole question would be that, can I help them in some of these activities of theirs so that they get the time and the bandwidth to have the opportunity that I will be having? This is just an example at home. But what I'm trying to say is that that is what equity means to me. To say that, are we going that extra mile in recognizing the needs of people and doing what is necessary to bring them at the equitable opportunity level with others?
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
add on, just to add on to what Subbu said, it is about acknowledging the disparity and then taking the targeted measures to ensure that you're helping or providing that platform. So just wanted to add on to what Subbu said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons people were so happy world over that, the concept of equity has been brought into the conversation is because it takes into account context, right? Which is something that is often overlooked and a very important part of making a workplace inclusive and diverse. And, thank you, Subbu, for bringing up, the progress that Cummins India has made, which is what I want to sort of dive into now. So, Anupama, to ask you, given your 16 years of experience within Cummins India, you've really seen the organization transform. So could you tell us a little bit about the work happening in this space and, the work that has happened and the progress we've made in the past few years?
I feel very proud to be part of this organization because I've seen the organization grow tremendously. I mean, having said that, we still have our aspirational goals and we believe we are very far away from there. Having said that, when I started way back in 2006, I think the diversity numbers would be somewhere less than 10%. And today we are proudly being a manufacturing organization at around 31, 32%. A lot of women would resonate with me. When we walked into a room, we would be the only one diverse talent sitting in that room with a lot of men around. And today, at India Leadership, we have 40% diversity sitting around the table. So there's a lot of familiarity and allies that you see around. As an organization, we've also been conscious of saying, how do we create policies that are gender neutral? If you want women to be successful, you need to equally provide the support system to our male colleagues too, so that they can support their working spouses or partners. So we have introduced gender neutral policies. We introduced paternity leave way back when it was just being spoken about, because we knew that kind of support is what every working woman would need, not just within Cummins. For our male colleagues who had their spouses and partners working with other organizations, to ensuring that we have daycare centers in every plant, in our office. Again, that is available for both our male and female colleagues. Having menstrual leaves for our shop floor employees. So these are few of the milestones that I can really speak about. And today we have very strong employee resource group in diversity that is creating so much of awareness and support system, which is a big shift.
Wow, that's incredible to know, that Cummins India is already almost leagues ahead of many other organizations in the world today. And again, some very, nuanced, well thought out initiatives that lead to tangible change, which is always very important. So Subbu, to bring you into the conversation now from a different perspective, we just shined a light on how, Anupama is bringing the 16 years, right, to the podcast, but you're also bringing a fresh perspective because you joined Cummins India very recently back in 2021. So if you were to really look at the differentiators that set Cummins India apart in terms of their approach to DE&I, what would those differentiators be?
So at the outset, probably even during my interview process, right? I remember having the discussion with Anupama, right? Where this point had come up, and I was actually a bit surprised that there is an organization with such a high focus on diversity and diversity in action. So this is actually implemented. Right. Because in my past organizations, I hadn't seen this, I hadn't heard this as a focus term being discussed in management circles or leadership circles of that sort. And I though I do not have the statistics with me, but I have worked in manufacturing setups as well. I haven't seen such a large share of women employees, even on the shop floor in the past. So when I joined Cummins and I visited some of the plants, our Kothur plant, etc., I was actually amazed to see our women colleagues there. The share of women colleagues and some of the workstations were entirely being run by women, right? So it was actually very amazing to see that entire step. So I would say the differentiating factor for me definitely is the gender diversity, which we have so nicely implemented. Not just speak about it, but implement it. And definitely, I would think that Cummins is one of the leaders in this space, especially in the manufacturing space in the country. And also speaking about it. Like I know that DE&I is a key topic where leadership speaks about. It comes in every discussion to say that what is, and we do not speak about it as a formality, right? DE&I is not a formality for us. It's not a tick in the box. We talk about the practical implications of it. We talk about how do you really make it happen. Like it's great to talk about D&I. It's great to say that we need to be equitable and we need to be inclusive. But on the floor, on the ground, how is it really going to work? And that's what Anupama spoke about, policies, etc. Right? I think that is a good part that I've seen in Cummins, that we then go that extra mile to say that how is this really going to become practical?
Absolutely. That's again really reassuring. I think for anyone listening or viewing this podcast, they're going to feel really reassured that we're taking all of the right steps in the right direction. Always important. But you know how they say miles to go before I sleep. Anupama, we've already talked about all of the amazing things that have happened, the growth that we've made. But Cummins India is a leading power solutions provider, and I'm sure that we still have a ways to go, especially in the manufacturing sector, in terms of progress. So, what are some of the the key things you'd like to see change in the near future?
In general, for the manufacturing sector, if I talk about, I firmly believe that we still need to be very intentional and aggressive with bringing in the gender diversity. It begins with continuously creating education and awareness, because we still have a lot of people having biases, and rightly so, because we all come from very different social upbringing. So that needs to be addressed. We need to have measures in place. It is a reality. What get measures will get done. So numbers count. Otherwise, we're just going to fall behind.
Right.
We need to make sure that we address and we bring in women at the shop floor. That is the heart of manufacturing, which means that we need to move our attention just not from having professional, but bringing the shop floor employees, making it more diverse, which means that we have to be very intentional with our policies and our ergonomics. And that's what Cummins has done. Whatever I'm talking about is something we are continuously moving on it and have proven, so we need to challenge, we need to let the women decide the jobs that they can and cannot do and not decide on their behalf, especially in a manufacturing setup.
Okay, all right. Very, very valuable insights on the way forward. Thank you for that, Anupama. And finally, we've reached the end of the podcast, but I'd like to close with a thought from both of you on the same thing. Subbu, if I could ask you first, as a strategy leader, how do you think the DEI priority is going to fit in with Cummins India's overall larger growth strategy? Because by now we've all learned that DEI is really important in the growth of an organization. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think the nature of our organization is going to change in terms of what we are going to be doing, in terms of the products we are going to be selling, in terms of the customers we are going to be serving. All that is going to be changing, right? We are going to be going into greener fuels, into greener spaces, into greener customers. So all that is going to shift. And these are, if I might say, territories that we are also exploring as we are growing. And that needs, to my earlier point, diversity of thought, diversity of the emotional intelligence as well, right? So diversity of thought is more from a content perspective to say that where do we grow, how do we grow? That's all the content side of things. The diversity of emotional intelligence is to say that as we are going through this journey, it's going to be an ambiguous path. It's going to be a path that is going to be ridden with a lot of uncertainties and challenges. We need a team that's balanced emotionally, can push things ahead, and can really drive the organization. And I believe that all this is going to come from diversity of the employees.
Yes.
Right? Be gender diversity, be diversity of, as Anupama said, from getting from different geographies, from different parts of the country, from different backgrounds. All of this is going to have a contribution into making that magic mix. We don't know what the magic mix is, but it will all contribute into that.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, going to be the key ingredient of the future, because whatever strategy and whatever growth path you lay down, until your talent is really there, you're getting the right kind of talent to drive this, it's not going to get driven. And when I say right kind of talent, it, as much as we are talking about the competency or the capability of the talent, is also this diversity of the talent that's going to contribute into this. So that's the way I view it.
I really do want to thank both of you so much for your time and for joining us on this edition, a very special edition of Cummins PowerPods, because I think it's been a very insightful conversation, very interesting and very nuanced, just like the theme of equity. Thank you for sharing your own personal views and opinions and being so open and honest with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot, Ahalya. Thanks for having us.
All right, folks, we'll soak all of that in, because this truly has been a great edition of the show. We will catch you on another one very soon. But in the meantime, #embrace equity.